the high-ranking officials' crime investigation agency targeted and inspected members of the opposition party's lawmakers and civilians. On the 29th, it was revealed that the high-ranking public officials' crime investigation office had inquired communication data about the People's Strength presidential candidate Yoon Seok-yeol and his wife Kim Kun-hee. In addition, as of the afternoon of the same day, the number of People's Power lawmakers who were confirmed to have been inquired by the Ministry of Airlift and Communications has increased to a total of 80. More than two-thirds of the 105 members of the People's Power have been subject to inquiry by the Office of Crime Investigation for high-level officials. Minister of Justice Park Bom-gai said, "The execution is based on a warrant, but I think it would be good if the high-ranking officials' crime investigation office had an appropriate explanation." He said, "This time, the high-ranking officials' criminal investigation office's communication inquiry is that it is not a temple." Lim Tae-hee, head of the People's Power General Situation Headquarters, holds an emergency press conference on the high-ranking public officials' crime investigation center at the National Assembly Communication Center on the afternoon of the 29th. At a press conference on the same day, the People's Power claimed that there were 10 illegal inspections against 78 members of the National Assembly and presidential candidate Yoon Seok-yeol, and 9 against the candidate's family. So far, it has been found that the high-ranking public officials' crime investigation department has inquired communication data 3 times for Yoon and once for Kim. Regarding candidate Yoon, the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office searched the communication data 4 times, the Incheon District Prosecutor's Office once, the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency once, and the Gwanik Police Station once. Regarding Mr. Kim, the Seoul Central Prosecutor's Office looked into the communication data 5 times and the Incheon District Prosecutor's Office 1 time. Candidate Yoon's inquiry period was from September to October of the High Commissioner's Crime Investigation Office, May to June, and October to November of the Central District Prosecutor's Office. It was when candidate Yoon resigned from the Prosecutor General's office in March and announced his political participation in June. The investigative agencies began to search for communication data in earnest. Candidate Yoon has been indicted as a suspect since September on suspicion of so-called indictment. The People's Power demanded the resignation of Kim Jin-wook, the head of the Crime Investigation Department, a high-ranking public official, saying, "The true face of an illegal temple of unruly power has been revealed." Candidate Yoon said, "I created an investigative agency targeting high-ranking public officials. But they don't do what they are told, and they are playing the role of a domestic part of the intelligence service during the authoritarian regime. I will ask," he said. Kim Ki-hyeon, floor leader, said, "Even considering that candidate Yoon is being booked as a suspect in the so-called accusation fraud case, it is clear from the fact that investigative agencies even searched for the candidate's wife." On the other hand, Minju Party floor leader Yoon Ho-young said, "I think it would be a big problem if there was an illegal inspection, but we need to know what kind of character it is to receive communication data." Kim Jin-wook, head of the high-ranking public officials' crime investigation department, will attend the Legislative and Judiciary Committee of the National Assembly on the 30th to explain the allegations of illegal inspection. Meanwhile, on June 9, it was additionally confirmed that the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office looked into communication data targeting Kim Han-gil, chairman of the New Era Preparatory Committee, and Yoon's younger sister, the People's Strength. At the time, Chairman Kim is said to have spoken frequently with candidate Yoon before announcing his political participation. Controversy over illegal inspections, surrounding the Office of Crime Investigation for high-level officials is spreading as it was revealed that the High Commissioner's Crime Investigation Office had searched a lot of communication data on 80 opposition lawmakers, including presidential candidate Yoon Seok-yeol and Yoon's wife, Kim Kun-hee. The People's Power has decided to set up an illegal Inspector General Reporting Center in the General Situation Room of the Election Committee within the party. The high-ranking Civil Servants Crime Investigation Department inquired about candidate Yoon Seok-yeol twice in September and once in October. Candidate Yoon's wife, Kun-hee Kim, was inquired about communication data once in October. September is the time when the presidential race for the People's Strength presidential nomination begins in earnest. The lawyer said, in the case of Kim, it is unlikely that she had a phone call with a politician or a high-ranking public official who is the subject of an investigation by the Crime Investigation Agency. It means that the Office of Public Officials Crime Investigation Office has issued a correspondence warrant and searched all the phone numbers of candidate Yoon. The High Commissioner's Crime Investigation Agency is of the view that it has gone through the legal process through the courts. However, the legal circle said, it is an over-examined investigation to select all phone calls of powerful opposition presidential candidates ahead of the general election, and I suspect the intention to influence the presidential election with the People's Power that took place around that time. In fact, in October, the high-ranking public official's Criminal Investigation Office sent a text message to prosecutor Sun Jun-seon, who was arrested on suspicion of indictment, saying, it is necessary to attend as soon as possible in consideration of the opposition party's People's Power presidential election schedule. In addition, the situation where the high-ranking official's Criminal Investigation Office requested an arrest warrant and an arrest warrant for the hand prosecutor was repeated every time passport officials ordered an intensive investigation. The high-ranking public officials Crime Investigation Department is also known to have turned on the Kakao Talk group chat room of members of the People's Power after receiving a communication warrant. In the case of Kakao, it is said that when an investigative agency designates a specific time and presents a warrant, the phone number and log records of the chat room participants including the target are provided. However, the conversation content is not provided because it is stored and deleted on the server for only 2 to 3 days. Analysts suggest that this may have led to a large-scale search for communication data on members of the People's Power. A lawyer said, due to the controversy over election meddling, the agency has stopped investigations when major elections are approaching. Kim Ki-hyeon, floor leader of the People's Power, and IMTAEH, head of the Central Election Committee's General Situation Headquarters, held an emergency press conference at the National Assembly on the 29th and demanded that President Moon Jae-in should immediately resign the head of the Crime Investigation Department for high-ranking public officials. In a democratic country, something that cannot possibly happen is happening, Lim said. Director Lim said, Director Kim Jin-wook of the Senior Public Officials Crime Investigation Department deserves to be arrested and sent to prison immediately. Candidate Yoon said, I guessed it. But did the government and the ruling party work so hard to create such a crime investigation agency for high-ranking officials? Seems to have been involved, he said. He also pointed out the Moon Jae-in administration and the Democratic Party, saying, many of the People's Power lawmakers were subjected to telecommunication inspections. Meanwhile, it was confirmed on the same day that investigative agencies such as the High-Ranking Officials Crime Investigation Office and Incheon District Prosecutor's Office searched communication data for 6 members of the new National Collegiate Representatives Association, who criticized the current government. The new National Collegiate Representatives Association is a conservative youth group that satirizes the name of the Jondaehyopy, a university student activist group in the 1980s and 1990s. Last year, more than 5,000 advertisements criticizing President Moon Jae-in were attached to 420 universities across the country. Kim Tae-il, chairman of the new National Association of College Student Representatives, said in a phone call with this newspaper, "It is absurd that investigative agencies conducted information and communication inquiries about ordinary college students and graduate students who were not at all involved in the trial or investigation."